How dangerous it is for children to be alone at home. The 2-year-old girl climbed onto the balcony, and in front of her is a 10,000-meter height. She did not know how dangerous it was. The girl did it just to get the doll back. Suddenly her feet slipped, and she almost fell. Fortunately, the neighbor next door found her. With the neighbor's persuasion, the girl slowly climbed down. She went into the room to look for her mother, who was sleeping in the bed, but she didn't realize that her mother was dead. At that moment, a jar of pills fell on the floor. The pills spilled all over the floor. The girl picked up the pills one by one and put them back in the bottle. Obviously, the little girl's mother committed suicide by taking sleeping pills. That's when the phone started ringing. As the girl was not tall enough, she climbed up to the cabinet. It was hard to get the phone, but the phone fell to the bottom of the cabinet by accident. The girl learned it from the phone. It turns out that the parents had a fight in the morning. At that moment, she was complaining that his wife didn't help him to pack his luggage. He almost missed his flight. The girl saw the bruises on her mother's face, knew that mom had been domestic violence again. She ran to the bathroom to look for cream because she knew that every time her mother was abused, she would use the cream to cover up the bruises on her face. But she didn't find it. On the mirror was a suicide note written by her mother before she died. She wanted to take her daughter with her, but she didn't have the courage to do so. The girl got the cream and, little by little, she applied it to her mother's face to cover up the marks on her face. After applying it, the girl started to wake up her mother again. Mom still didn't move. She turned on the TV. She switched to the channel she liked to watch. She turned up the sound of the TV in case she couldn't hear her, but Mom was still lying in bed and did not move. Then the girl went downstairs. She found that the kitchen faucet was left on. She wanted to turn it off but could not reach it, and the floor is the plug board. If the water spills into the plug board, consequences will be unthinkable. And then the girl was in the room, looking at an iron that was smoking. The mother of the 2-year-old girl committed suicide, leaving her alone to fend for herself. She saw a smoking iron, threw the pants on the iron to the floor. The pants were already smoking from the heat. She reached out and touched the casing. Nothing seemed to have happened. Then she touched the iron. The girl was burned. She climbed on her mother and began to cry. But as she cried, she fell asleep. When she woke up, she was hungry. She found some milk on the counter, but the bottle was accidentally knocked over on the floor. The milk was all spilled. She started to look for other food. The girl found large pancakes on the floor. She opened the oven and put a large pie in it. She pressed the button as her mother usually does, but set the time to 10 minutes. When she opened the oven again, the pancakes were already burned. Then the girl turned on the gas stove, put another large pancake directly on the baking, waiting with great anticipation. It didn't take long for the pancake to burn. The girl also found that this is not right. She started to blow out the flame with her mouth gun, but it didn't help at all. The girl was so hungry that she tried to open the refrigerator, but the top of the refrigerator is bottles and cans. If the bottles fell in at her head, the consequences would be unthinkable. Finally, the girl opened the fridge. She took a bit of stale cake and put it in her mouth. At this point, to her, it didn't matter whether it would be bad or not, as long as she could fill her stomach. Then she took out all the food in the refrigerator. But what she didn't expect was that the girl climbed into the refrigerator. She was playing with the refrigerator door. The refrigerator door was locked by accident. Soon she felt so cold and began to shake the refrigerator violently. At this point, if the refrigerator fell forward, the consequences are very serious. Fortunately, the refrigerator door was kicked open by her. What was once a cozy home has now become a shambles. The water in the sink was already flowing outside, and the floor is the plug board. The girl was playing with her toys. The rope accidentally hooked to the table. The iron on the table fell down, but the girl did not notice. Was watching TV in her room. At that moment, the iron gave off smoke, causing the whole house power failure. At that moment, the girl noticed again the water heater kept on dripping, and then there was an explosion. This little girl is so poor. Her mother had been dead for 8 hours, but she didn't know anything. She just thought her mother had been sleeping. During this time, the girl had many brushes with death. Then she saw a bottle of toilet bowl cleaner. She went to her mother's side. She asked her mother if I could drink this, but the dead mom didn't even care about her, so the girl poured the cleaner into her bottle, but it was too full. She had to pour it back into the big bowl again, but she accidentally kicked the bottle over with her own foot. The detergent spilled all over the floor. This time she couldn't drink it. She started pulling her mother. She wanted her mother to get up and make her something to eat. After tugging and pulling, she saw no response from her mother. She had to go downstairs to look for other food, but the floor was already full of water. As she walked, the girl slipped and fell to the ground. Luckily, her body was fine, but her pants were torn. She found the leftover food she ate yesterday. The girl went back to her room with the food. At that moment, the phone began to ring. The girl picked up the phone, and it was her father again. The father asked what her mother was doing. The girl kept repeating that her mother was sleeping. The father sensed something unusual. How could she sleep all day? He asked the driver to turn around and go to the airport. After the call, the girl returned to her room. By this time, Her mother's body began to stink. There were already flies on her body. The girl picked up a plate of food. There were a few sleeping pills on it. She asked her mother if she could take this. Seeing no response from her mother, she just stuffed them into her mouth one by one. No one knows how many she actually ate. At that moment, the phone started ringing again, but because the phone ran out of battery, it turned off automatically, and the girl had fallen asleep. So the daughter was lying on the floor, and the mother was lying on the bed. And the iron was still working. At the end of the night, the water kept flowing and the fire kept burning in the kitchen. The smoke from the iron filled the room. When the father arrived home, he saw his dead wife and the daughter under the bed. The girl told her father that I had built a house. Dad, wake up, Mom. I'm building a beautiful home. Why is this mine? This film is based on a true story. The girl ended up with her mother's body, trapped in her home for 11 hours. Well, that's it for this video. See you in the next video.